who come in to their fourth overall appearance. Hi again, everybody. Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner here with you. Thanks so much for joining us on News 12 Varsity. South Plainfield wearing the black uniforms, tops and bottoms, the white numbering and the green helmets. They will receive to begin this contest. Rumson-Fair Haven, champions in this very same group a year ago, will kick off from left to right, wearing their white uniforms. South Plainfield back to receive. An 8-3 season, a heck of a season for them. Booming kick from Chapin, taken back from the 1-yard line. Goes right up the middle, and they'll begin right around the 17. So Smith gets them up to the 17-yard line on a nice 15-yard return, give or take. And here comes South Plainfield.
Dan, Rumson is the saloon keeper here for the Last Chance Saloon for the Shore Conference here today. Shore Conference has lost the first 3 games here, Manalapan, Middletown North, and the last game, Brick. And so Rumson is the last Shore Conference team standing, trying to pick up a state title or sectional title for Shore Conference.
1st and 10 from the 17. Ryan Martin comes out. The senior will hand off the football. Del Vecchio on the carry. We'll say his name plenty today. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Hessing, Niemeyer, Lampsona, Trocia, and Spray up front. Smith and Stankin's the Stankin are the wide receiver. The tight end is Gene Sapini. Lundy's the fullback. Del Vecchio is the running back. We'll see pretty much a 2-quarterback system here, Greg. Charlie Lovett was the starter. Back the last 3 games, he's been dealing with a high ankle sprain. Again, they're different style QBs, so we will end up seeing both, but Martin has done a fine job, as now Lovett's the guy who's in motion. Martin looks across, finds Lovett. He runs into the flats outside of the numbers now on the far sideline, and a first down.
Nice play. I like that play, going right across the middle, right across the face.
Reception, Charles Lovett, number 7.
Only Lovett's 2nd reception on the season. So you wonder how many times maybe they'll slot him out at receiver. That was going to be a possibility. But again, those 2 guys also play at linebacker, and they split time there as well. 1st and 10 on the 38. Good start already on the 2 plays. 2 receivers out on the near side. To Del Vecchio, right up the gut. And he'll be stopped at the 42-yard line. Let's take a look at the D. Frang and Sullivan will flank Ruin Adams up the middle. Ruin is the inside linebacker with Lanzotto and Woods. Russo, Murdoch, Malia, and Toronto in the secondary.
One of the best defenses in the Shore Conference, overseen by the head coach of Rumson, Jerry Schulte. Mike Ruane has been a fixture in the middle.
Love at the man in motion. That's what they hand it off to. Here comes Charlie. Runs outside. Will stay in bounds on the tackle near that far side. So we will have a 3rd down situation upcoming for the first time today.
Mike Murdoch was there, number 7. And number 54.
Murdoch there, the first one on the tackle. 86 tackles this season. Leading the way, Ruin, as you were just mentioning, all-state guy from a year ago and does many things that not many can. The senior, 112 so far on the season.
Pure beast. That last play, you see him. He shows blitz, and he gets run blitz and gets a great push and just makes Lovett have to go a little bit deeper into the backfield to cut the corner.
Martin looks to throw on 3rd down and overshoots Ryan Stankin. Had the senior right around the 50-yard line, but just airmailed the pass. So now we'll have a 4th and 4 situation, and it looks like a punting unit will end up coming out after some decision-making on that far sideline. Check that. They'll actually run right up to the line, trying to maybe throw RFH off. And then they'll end up backing up again. Chapin skies a kick. South Plainfield just wait till it stops its roll out at the 13-yard line.
Near the 13-yard line.
The first time we get a chance to see Mike O'Connor today, a senior who's going to go play at Colgate next season, a starter on the last 2 championship teams. Decent numbers for him in the air, 6 touchdowns, just 1 pick. But overall on the ground, 619 yards and 10 rushing TDs. 1st and 10 from the 13. 1 receiver out on each side, man in motion. And they'll give it to their tailback, Vecchiarelli.
Matt's been a workhorse in the postseason for RFH. Really been embracing the opportunity to be the go-to guy in a run-oriented system in the postseason. Been outstanding.
Just a 2-yard gain by the senior for a 2-year starter as well. Getting more and more confident when running the football. One more time. Jukes back towards his right, and he'll be stopped right at that line of scrimmage by this defense. Let's take a look at them. Fritz and Niemeyer on the outside, Sabini and Lampasona up the middle. Harris, Lundy, Del Vecchio, and Lovett are the linebackers. Tate, DeAngelis, and Rayon Cohen.
3rd and 7.
So a 3rd down and 7. 2 receivers on the near side, 1 on the far. Vecchiarelli, the man in motion, gets the block, and here comes O'Connor, lowers the shoulder. He'll be coming up short of that 1st down, gets himself to the 20-yard line.
O'Connor on the keeper, met by number 9, Michael DeAngelis. And that'll bring up 4th down.
So 3 and out. Both teams punting on their first possessions.
Good defensive series by the Tigers. Matches Rumson's defensive series.
These 2 teams are very similar. The only difference is, and this was something that Gary Cassio was saying, he said they're pretty much like us, Rumson-Fair Haven, only they're a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and they've been there with some experience. But very similar styles, at least. And the punt gets blocked. Right at the 10.
Rayon Cohen, number 17.
By number 17, Rayon Cohen.
It was a high snap. Chapin just couldn't get it off in time.
Tigers take over at the 10.
Rayon Cohen was there. And it was jumped on by T.J. Mazzaro. So now, look at this. It'll be a 1st and goal on their 2nd drive.
These are the opportunities that South Plainfield has to cash in on if they're going to upset Rumson here tonight.
High formation to Del Vecchio. Keeps churning those legs, but he'll be tackled right at the line of scrimmage. Del Vecchio this season, 1,100 yards on the ground, 9 touchdowns. Coming off back-to-back games where he has eclipsed 100 yards, actually in the last 3 contests. 12 for 102 and a touchdown in their Thanksgiving loss against North Plainfield. And then in the semifinals,
No gain. 2nd
31 carries for 175 and 3 touchdowns. 2nd and 10. 2nd and goal, rather that. Play action, and he'll throw. Lovett has a man. Gets him down to the 5-yard line.
Ryan Marson rolling out, connecting with Ben Lundy, number 30.
So Ben Lundy, the fullback, who can bring in some passes as well, will actually give them 6 yards. So they'll mark them actually at the 4. Six minutes in the books in this opening quarter. Stacked backfield. Martin hands off. Getting close to that goal line, but they will come up maybe a yard short, maybe 2 feet, based on where that spot is.
Got to go for it, right?
You have to. You have to go for it here.
You can send an early message. We came here to look you right in the eye. I love the call.
4th and inches. On this 4th and goal. They'll get the push from behind. And in for the score. A delayed reaction. Ryan Martin runs in his 4th rushing TD of the season. And South Plainfield, after the block punt, makes RFH pay.
That's what we're talking about, right? You make a big play like that against a team like Rumson, you have to capitalize because you know what? You're not guaranteed to get those type of breaks all night long. So when you do get one, magnify it, make the most of it.
Deshaun Smith out for the extra point, and it is good. 7-0 lead. So special teams defense ends up turning into some good offensive opportunities. And it takes them a few plays, but they get it done on 4th and 1. And now they have a lead, and believe it or not, it's also the first points they've ever scored in a championship game. They have been outscored 50-0 in their prior 3 meetings with any team in a sectional final. So already this is a program history-making drive, and Ryan Marston is the guy who can say, I scored those first points in a sectional title.
7-0 South Plainfield ahead of Rumson-Fair Haven. 5 minutes remaining first quarter.
Deshaun Smith will look to kick from right to left. And a good start here for South Plainfield. Again, the Tigers, they're coming off a loss. That Thanksgiving game, both teams actually coming off a loss in their Thanksgiving games. But it didn't matter. It's still all about, of course, this game and this sectional championship. There's the ball loose on that far side. South Plainfield trying to hustle over to it. Cohen was near it, but it will still be Rumson-Fair Haven football.
Microwave downs the ball.
From their own 27-yard line. Went 3 and out on the last one, with the punt getting blocked. 3 receivers out on the near side. Pavlik was the man in motion. There will be a flag on this play as Eccarelli will take the carry and run outside.
O'Connor hands off to Eccarelli. Brought down by number 33, Del Vecchio. Flag is down.
So illegal formation on the offense. We'll replay first down. It'll be 1st and 15. Rumson-Fair Haven, 3 straight sectional titles and 4-time sectional champions. 7 appearances in the past. They've also won 11 consecutive playoff games in a couple of different groups as well. They moved up last year, winning last year's championship game against Red Bank Regional, blanking them 27-0. Now they get another shot and try and become a team to win 4 titles in a row.
Gene Sapini, number 11, was there along with number 72, Lampasana, and number 9, DeAngelo.
And in order to do that, Dan, they're going to have to come from behind now. So South Plainfield proving that it's here to win, not just happy to be here, but here to walk away with the prize.
2nd and 13. Rolls out near side. O'Connor with the pressure coming. Thought to go off to the races. tries to use the block, but runs into that block instead. And will be knocked out of bounds right at the 29.
I like the speed of South Plainfield's defense that time, you know, getting to the sideline, cutting it off, stringing out the run, and limiting the damage.
It's another team, again, that's just playing with a chip on their shoulder. They keep seeing, again, what is said in the papers. They know they're the underdog in this. They're tired of hearing about it. They want to come out and prove to everyone, these guys, this group, again, they're champions. And it's kind of amazing. Gary Cassio was even saying, we don't have the most athletic guys. We don't have the biggest guys, the best guys. We just have the right guys. And they play with each other. They play for each other. Maybe they are overachieving, but it's working out thus far. O'Connor looks to throw, and he has a man. It's Pavlik down the near sideline as he connects with his tight end.
They don't throw often, but when they have been throwing in the postseason, Colin has been the security blanket that O'Connor has looked for, and you get the sense why. Good hands in that spot, making a big play, getting them across midfield, and maybe starting to get the gears grinding for Rumson a little bit.
The first down of this contest for the defending champions. Ball's loose. Looks like South Plainfield has it. Gonna call an incomplete pass instead.
It's a shovel pass.
Oh.
As long as he's pushing the ball forward like that, that's a shovel pass, and that's just an incomplete pass. So that is the right call.
2nd and 10.
2nd and 10 from the 45 of South Plainfield territory. Late here in the first quarter, Beccarelli not going anywhere so far in his first few carries. Again, he's the go-to guy in terms of at least running the football. O'Connor has plenty of carries this year, too. He has those design plays. He'll run the option. We already seen him scramble a little bit, too. But Beccarelli is the guy that kind of needs to go to here, and if they can start to contain him like they have been able to contain other running backs in the past, South Plainfield feels they'll be in pretty good shape. 3rd and 8. 3 receivers on the far side. Beccarelli to the right hip. Here's O'Connor. Steams ahead past the 40-yard line. But he'll still be shy of that first down marker by 3 yards.
Michael Connor, the ball carrier. Number 27, Dylan Harris. And number 72, Michael Lamposana.
Dylan Harris, the first one on the tackle. Greg, a guy who's been injured at different points of this season, himself with a high ankle sprain, is one of the linebackers, yet he still leads the team in tackles.
I love that. I love the fact that, you know, somebody's gritty enough and just doesn't want to miss out on something special when it's brewing. Wants to be a part of it.
4th and 3, they'll go for it. As both crowds start to get loud. Shotgun formation, O'Connor loses a handle, picks it back up, and he'll be stopped short at the 39, a turnover on downs. Big defensive stand from South Plainfield.
A couple times now that the ball's hit the carpet in Rumson's possession.
Tigers will take over on downs.
And the tackle made by Gene Sapini. Gene Sapini is a baseball dude from South Plainfield.
Big-time two-way player. Could be an X-factor in this contest. Del Vecchio, the good push from his offensive line, will get him a 5-yard gain. Del Vecchio only a sophomore. But this kid, again, South Plainfield, if you know anything about, of course, the athletic program, are a big wrestling group, a very, very big wrestling program. Del Vecchio last year placed actually 7th in states at 220.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, I'm not a wrestling guy. I'm a basketball guy, and I don't really. I have to be honest. I don't follow the wrestling stuff, but it's pretty cool that he thrives in that sport.
A lot of wrestlers on this team. And Del Vecchio just brings bodies with him and moves the chains in the process.
You could see one of the reasons why he's probably good in wrestling. He's got great leverage, man.
As a freshman, he platooned in their full back, a little bit in their tailback, and now he's their lead back pretty much all season long, leading the team in carries, rushing yards, rushing TDs. Semifinal win over Ewing, the 3-touchdown day with 175. That was his high this season. Trying to pick up where he left off, dives forward for a 3-foot gain.
He's a rugged back. You know, he looks like he's the kind of guy who's like, hey, invest in me today. I'll give you 30, 35 carries. I'm good for it.
And except for the Thanksgiving game, that's pretty much what he's been doing, Greg. I mean, the numbers have been up there. High 20s, low 30s. By the second half, that's kind of where things pick up for him a little more because guys just get tired of having to tackle him with a downfield runner like that.
Yeah.
Love it. Ball's loose. They're going to say he's down, but what a play by Ruin as he took him for a loss as the first quarter expires.
That type of play is really what exemplifies the type of player Mike Ruane is. Last year at the Shore, a lot was made, and rightfully so, about the linebackers at Middletown South, the Kevin Higgins, the James McCarthy's, the Dylan Rogers. Mike Ruane was in that category. He is that good of a player. He just shoots gaps. He's got great instincts, great reads. He had a sack against Somerville in the semifinals when I watched the game on News 12 Varsity. One-handed, like shooting the gap, and he's like parallel, but yet gets his arm, and he's got that upper body strength to make big plays without using his entire body. But when he does hit you with his entire body, it's like getting hit by a taxi cab.
And he pulls him down for a loss. It'll be 3rd and long. We come back, second quarter upcoming, a 7-0 lead for South Plainfield on News 12 Varsity. Third and 13 here at Rutgers, Piscataway, New Jersey. Thanks so much for joining us. South Plainfield leading Rumson-Fair Haven 7-0 after 12 minutes. Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner, thanks so much for joining us. Deshaun Smith, the man in motion, play action as Martin throws across the middle and has a man. It was Gene Sapini, the big tight end, and he does so much, Greg. This is a guy who's their leading receiver, also one of their top defensive players as well.
And I'll tell you, give Gene credit for having the hands to hold on to that ball because he took a lick from James Malia.
Quick start, of course, is very important. So are turnovers in any championship game. It was the block punt that gave them really good field position, a 1st and goal from the 10. And able to punch it in on 4th down. Small little gain from Del Vecchio.
Del Vecchio on the carry, number 16.
Well, the sophomore, of course, follows the fullback in Ben Lundy, who's a senior captain, but this offensive line overall, fairly young. They didn't really know what they were going to get from them. Only one returning starter, Lampasana. They moved Hessing, who was a backup tight end, over to tackle this season. Niemeyer's only a sophomore, but he's also a big-time wrestler himself. Actually won a first-place tournament, the War at the Shore wrestling tournament. But they didn't know what they were going to get from the offensive line. This time Lundy moves up ahead to the 31. They've done a really solid job. No big names, but they are rushing a lot of yards, and it helps when you got guys like Delvecchio and Lundy behind you.
Using the fullback in that spot, being diverse. I kind of like that, They're not predictable, that's for sure.
3rd down and 4. As Martin will come over. We've seen both QBs come out. We've also seen Charlie Lovett take a carry and also make a catch. Marston will end up going under center this time. I formation. One receiver on both sides. Play action. Rolls out. Gets his tight end. Zappini past the 25, past the 20, and he's free past the 10.
Gene Zappini doing work and working over defenders. He is the one who's coming out no worse for the wear on the contact, not once, but twice on this waggle, running through the initial hit from Mike Murdoch, running over Russo down there, and it takes Mike Ruane to backtrack to get him down. Wow, Gene Zappini getting it done.
Coming into today, again, their leading receiver, as I mentioned before, but he has touchdowns in 3 of his last 4 games. 6 overall in the season, 545 yards. So 1st and goal, 2nd time they've been here today. Another run. It's going to go to the outside and not going anywhere. Ball did pop loose. They're going to say the forward progress ended from this Bulldog defense that plays like a bunch of Bulldogs.
Number 76, Tim Leonard. Also there, number 44, Keegan Woods. Loss of a yard.
I hate to state the obvious here, but this is another opportunity that South Plainfield has to cash in on, man. If they can pad this lead, make it, perhaps a 14-0 game, they got to feel real good about themselves in this spot.
2nd and goal from the 7. 2 receivers on the far side. I formation again. Marston goes to Delvecchio. Lowers the shoulder. Keeps pushing ahead. And he's in for another 6.
That drive right there ends with perseverance. It starts with Zappini showing perseverance through the 2 tackles to get it down 1st and goal. And then Delvecchio riding and driving through tackles. Tough guy, setting a tough image for South Plainfield.
Lundy picked up the 1 block. Fashai Smith took another one. And Delvecchio, who does not mind initiating some contact, is able to find himself to the end zone. Extra point is good from Smith. It's a 14-zip lead. So just 3 minutes and 35 seconds into the 2nd quarter. A drive that carried over from late in the 1st. After the turnover on downs, defense turning into offense once again. South Plainfield is up. First 14 points they've ever scored in a postseason final, which is kind of, I think, remarkable to think. But where this team has come from to where they are now, they can set a single-season record in wins with a victory set by the 1965 undefeated team. Champions in 82, 88, most recently in, losses in 82, 88, most recently 2007. Have never won a sectional final. Smith the kickoff from left to right. A booming kick right towards the end zone goes off the hand of Peter Lucas, the junior, and it will result in a touchback.
And the one thing that really strikes me so far is that sometimes opponents may have finesse and be spread and want to be graceful. And this South Plainfield team is smash mouth. Smash mouth, hit you in the face smash, bounce off you, look you in the eye and say, you know what? It's going to take a lot more than that, fellas, to bring us down. They've set a tone here right now, and RFH now has to try and match it, as well as stop it.
They have the experience and the support over here on the near sideline to do so, as the student section absolutely packed, all wearing white shirts. And look who's free into the secondary. All the way to the house, 80 yards.
Well, that's a nice way to make a rebuttal right there. Huge play by Matt Beccarelli. He's been thriving in the postseason. RFH needs somebody to stop the hemorrhaging. He does it right there. Breaks off an 80-yard touchdown, and the Bulldogs are right back in this thing. 14-6, pending the extra point by Thomas Chapin.
13th rushing TD of the season. And it took just that one play, got the block, and then found the hole. He's the kind of guy you just can't keep up with. Matt Beccarelli, the senior. Chapin for the extra point, right between the two yellow bars. So it's a 14-7 game. South Plainfield taking care of business when they have the opportunity to. And now it's the defending champs who bounce right back. Matt Beccarelli, last year part of this team as well, that did win a championship. And of course, it helps so much when you have guys who have played through this before, been through this before, even when they weren't starting, like Beccarelli and O'Connor in the past couple of years, like they have been starting the last two. But even when you're younger, you're watching that. We've been talking all day in all three of our games really about programs and how programs are built. Well, this program is built on defense, but they got guys who can play and definitely get it done offensively.
There's something to be said there about timing, too. That was a touchdown that was necessary sooner rather than later. It stabilizes the Bulldogs and says, you know, all right, let's go to work.
Deshaun Smith runs over from the 20-yard line, picks it up, and then turns past the 30. Down at the 32.
On the return, Deshaun Smith brought down.
Now it'll be imperative on the Bulldogs' defense to get a stop, to get Rumson the ball back.
And they are a D that is known to do so.
Yeah, don't expect, not to suggest there's panic within Rumson down 14-0, because they were down 13-0 against Somerville. So they've kind of been in this position before. It's nothing new to them.
What was so crazy about the Somerville game is that was a team that was averaging close to 50 points per game. 50! That's just an absurd number, and you hold them to a season low at just 13.
The difference between Somerville and South Plainfield, though, is that Somerville is a pass-oriented team, had a quarterback who's thrown for over 2,000 yards. First time seeing South Plainfield tonight, this is a ground team. This is a ground and pound between the tackles team that's got a kid like Del Vecchio who they're just going to punch you in the face with repetitively and see if they can wear you down.
2nd and 7 here for South Plainfield. Tigers with the I formation again, another handoff. And Del Vecchio will pick up another 2 yards on the carry for, will end up becoming a 3rd down and 4. Liam Adams stuffing the gap there on the tackle. Adams 63 tackles on the season, had 5 tackles in each of his last 2 games.
He's been a force in the post. Listen, Liam's always a force up front, but particularly in the postseason, he's just taken it to another level in terms of his run stopping.
3rd and 4 from the 38. Del Vecchio tries to cut back towards his left, but nowhere to go.
It's kind of going to take that to stop Del Vecchio. Rumson's going to have to get hats to the ball, multiple hats to the ball, stand them up, and gang tackle if they have to.
Chase Frang, the first one there, the defensive end. 64 tackles for him.
Back deep for the Bulldogs, James Melia.
So on 4th and 4, they run up to the line again. Seen them do this before with Deshaun Smith. Juan Cardona with a pretty good kick.
Fair catch by Melia at the 22.
And Melia will pick it up at the 22 for the fair catch. Rumson-Fair Haven coming off that game against Shore where they lost the night before Thanksgiving, that Wednesday night game. Actually snapped a 5-game win streak. It's kind of crazy, though. Every year that they've been making the finals, they've lost the Thanksgiving game.
Don't bring it up. It's a sore subject in Rumson right now.
If they just win a title, that's all they care about. Jerry Schulte, not a big fan of the Thanksgiving game going into it. Feeling, okay, we got out. Nobody got hurt. There's nothing wrong with that. Sat a couple guys who were a little banged up and pulled some guys in the first quarter.
Yeah, for the 4th year in a row, they lost on Thanksgiving. The last 3 years, it worked out well the following week for them, and they're going to see if that pattern continues today.
5:15 to play here in the half. Shotgun formation for O'Connor on a 2nd and 5 from the 27. And O'Connor is not going to go anywhere.
O'Connor wrapped up by Luke Niemeyer.
Luke Niemeyer, the sophomore. Looked like a wrestler taken down from behind there. Especially defensive linemen, I think more than anybody, maybe some linebackers. Wrestling helps them so much. They just know how to take a guy down, tackle them correctly, wrap them up.
I was going to say, using their weight. You know, you see a tackle like Luke makes right there where he holds him up and then he just drops his lower base to bring him down because you know what? Gravity. It's just gravity.
3rd down and 5 from the 27. High formation, 2 receivers on that far side. O'Connor looking to throw this time, cross the middle, and it's complete. Finding his tight end, Colin Pavlik once again. 2nd time today.
The security blanket, that's what he's becoming, Colin Pavlik. So reliable, man. You know, it should be noted that Rumson's operated the entire year without Elijah McAllister. You're talking about a 6'6", 215-pound wide receiver that's been completely out of the package. He tore his ACL. And this kid who's getting looks from a lot of FBS schools, and yet they found ways to still move forward without him.
I'll run right up the middle. We'll just go a yard. As the chant becomes RFH, RFH. Student section trying to rally up their fellow classmates and maybe some of the parents as well. As it's gotten cold out here. It was a nice warmer day this morning. Wind was swirling around. We've kind of seen a lot of different weather. It's cooled down on this December evening. 1st and 10 from the 38. Actually, 2nd and 8 from the 38.
The rear handoff for Mike Ruane right there.
Mike Ruane on the carry following the block of number 46.
And not a guy who gets many carries.
Malgin up front, number 46.
They'll hustle off and be replaced by Beccarelli, their lead back, who already has the 1 touchdown today. It was 80 yards. O'Connor, a guy who's going to play at Colgate. Big reason he decided to go there was really the coaching staff and the academics, and he praised also the RFH coaching staff in an article earlier on in the season about, what it is. And he just, I guess, likes good coaches. He likes guys who want to help him and keep developing him as he grows. This time he looked for Tyler Pearson, but missed down the left side. So it'll be a 4th down coming.
Good stand by South Plainfield, making sure that they maintain the lead. They don't allow Rumson to build on that previous touchdown run by Beccarelli. So they get to rock back here with 2:31 potentially. And see if they can get some more points on the board before halftime. And at minimum, keep the lead going into intermission.
Shaping for the punt. One has already gotten blocked. This one spins around, actually touches right off of one of the Tigers. And it's going to be Bulldog football.
Pat Russo on the recovery for Rumson. Unlucky break for South Plainfield. Ball bounces off a player's foot. Pat Russo, right man in the right spot. See the South Plainfield player. He's desperately trying to get out of the way of it, but the ball had a tracking device on him. Hits him right in the foot, and Rumson catches a break.
DeAndre Tate was just trying to let it go. And look how this has turned out. Looking across the middle. Caruso couldn't bring it in on an excellent defensive stand that lit him up.
Caruso gets clobbered by Mike DeAngelis, who breaks that play up. That's a good help defense right there by DeAngelis. Who dislodges that ball. And I'm going to tell you what, too, man. I give Trevor Caruso a lot of praise for going in there because you could sense that he probably knew there was going to be a hardcore collision there, but yet he still goes after that ball. So that's a great play by both sides.
Especially anytime you throw near Mike DeAngelis, the senior. Just a big play guy. Two receivers to the left. Comes a good run. Beccarelli across the 20. Down right at the 19.
Hard runner, man. Low base.
First down, Bulldogs, the 11-yard run.
Puts that ball away, slaps away contact not once but twice.
19-yard line. First and 10, Bulldogs.
Picks up 11 yards.
Now in the red zone for the first time today. A chance to potentially tie this game and still get the ball back to start the second half. Beccarelli puts on the brakes, and he'll be wrapped up with plenty of black jerseys surrounding him. Niemeyer was the first one on the tackle.
52, Luke Niemeyer.
Timeout will be called with 1 minute and 47 seconds to go here in the half. The timeout will be called by Rumson-Fair Haven. So thanks so much for joining us all day long and really all season long as we wrap up this football tonight here at Rutgers. And the whole weekend that has been here in the Garden State. We've had coverage and we'll have coverage overall for 18 of these. And Saturday is almost complete, believe it or not. So far in this game, and getting it started off with a punt, then a punt that got blocked by RFH. Marston rushed in the 1-yard run after they got the ball right at the 10. And Del Vecchio, after the turnover on downs, the 7-yard touchdown run to make it 14-0, responded immediately by an 80-yard play that was rushed to the outside by Beccarelli. And that's our score right now, late in the second quarter. Man in motion play action. O'Connor flushed out right, throws behind. Colin Pavlik looking for him for the third time.
Pavlik falls incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd and 10. 1:42.
So third down coming. And it really does seem every time that he's on the run, he's always looking for that tight end.
Somebody coming across on a pattern, you know, they're kind of running parallel with Michael when he starts to break out of the pocket. It's kind of what you want to do as a receiver. You want to make yourself available. You want to check back to the ball.
O'Connor wrapped up behind the line.
Love it.
O'Connor dropped.
Charlie Lovett.
Number 7. Loss on the play.
So this will be a 4th down. Also, we actually didn't get you the starting lineup here for the offense for the Bulldogs. Might as well give it to you real quick right now. McCann, Johnson, Keller, Leonard, and Keller at the right tackle position. Wide receivers, Pearson, Caruso, Oberle. Vecchiarelli is the running back. Pavlik is the tight end.
Charles Lovett, big tackle right there. Now South Plainfield has to do everything to avoid giving up a first down here, let alone a touchdown.
Timeout, South Plainfield.
Gary Cassio wants to talk it over with his defense. He probably wanted to emphasize that point. Keep everything in front of you. Recognize where the first down marker is. Make sure you deny that.
They preach stopping the run. Again, not really many big names for this defensive unit. They really fly to the football, and we've seen them fly to the football. Their strength may be coming with those linebackers because there's some big names there. Lundy, Harris, Del Vecchio. Lovett just had the big play. DeAngelis, who kind of moves around between corner, safety, and even almost like a 5th linebacker. Defense has been very good this season. And again, maybe it doesn't have the same kind of aura when you look at a RFH defense, but they have still gotten the job done this season, holding opponents to about 16 points per game.
Yeah, you know, let's be honest. They got gashed for one big play in the first half. Other than that, they've more than held their own against a team with a load of championship experience.
And wipe out the Thanksgiving game. In the playoffs alone, they have surrendered just 6 points before entering today. 4th and 15 from the 24-yard line of South Plainfield territory. O'Connor drops back to throw. Plenty of time. Cross the middle. Almost a one-handed grab by Pavlik. And that will be a turnover on downs with 46 seconds to play in the half.
I believe that was DeAngelis again doing his best Jack Tatum impersonations at safety, just leveling people when they're coming across the middle. It's a big defensive stand right there from South Plainfield. You know, minus any mistakes right here, they'll be able to walk into halftime with a 7-point lead. Looks like they're going to use another timeout here.
And so after that punt, which of course it was just an unfortunate bounce, goes off of Tate, pretty much gained them maybe 40, 50 yards in the field. They still are able to come out of that unharmed, even though they got the ball all the way down to the 19-yard line and got some big defensive stops along the way.
You can't say it any better. It's exactly that. It's a big defensive stop when you're put into a bad predicament. To respond the way you do, you pick everybody up on that bench, you know, and you send the message that, you know, we're good, we're okay, we're moving on.
Bulldogs will get the ball to start the half. So for now, of course, you expected maybe just 1 or 2 plays, if not a kneel here. And it looks like a kneel will end up coming. So we'll do it one more time. And that will end the first half. Well, started with a Martin 1-yard touchdown run. Then a Del Vecchio 7-yard run for a 14-0 lead. Vecchiarelli's 80-yard TD break made it 14-7. And a couple of good defensive stops by really both units in the last couple of drives. Is all she wrote for the first 24 minutes of play. So we'll be back with more in the third quarter of the Central Group 3 championship game between South Plainfield and Rumson-Fair Haven. And it's next on News 12 Varsity. Welcome back to News 12 Varsity. Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner, Josh Noble, Kevin DeBatey Jr., the whole crew out here at Rutgers campus, High Point Solutions Stadium, Piscataway, New Jersey, as part of the Central Group 5 title game between South Plainfield and Rumson-Fair Haven, the defending champions in this conference and defending three-time sectional champions overall. They'll receive the ball to start quarter number 3, going from left to right. They're in the white uniforms, tops and bottoms, the purple numbering, the purple helmets. The Tigers wear the black uniforms, tops and bottoms, trimmed with white and green helmets. Josiah Smith will kick it from right to left. In a first half that was pretty run-heavy on both sides. 110 yards of rushing for Rumson-Fair Haven, capped off really by that 80-yard run by Vecchiarelli. They'll pick it up just past the 20, and here is Peter Lucas, the junior, and Vecchiarelli's backup, who gets him up to the 41-yard line. So good field position to begin this third quarter, trailing by 7.
Good burst, too, on that return. You see the acceleration of Lucas. And starts Rumps off in favorable field position at their own 41.
So from their own 41, our first play from scrimmage. And it's going to be a run right up the middle, just shy of that Rutgers logo. Overall, offensively, 23 plays, 147 yards for the Tigers. Oh, check that, for the Bulldogs, the Rumson-Fair Haven Bulldogs with 147. 102 yards on 24 plays for South Plainfield. Both teams have been able to pick up some first downs, 4 each. Time of possession pretty close as well. Same as third downs, and fourth down is the only thing that's kind of different. South Plainfield converted on their lone attempt, which ended up turning into a TD. On second down, another couple of yards on the ground, this time by Vecchiarelli. And we will have a 3rd and 2. Jack Oberle will run out there. He'll replace Ian O'Connor out at tight end. Third and 3. 2 for 6 back in that first half. Shotgun formation. One receiver to the left hip, one behind him. Pavlik's the man in motion. The handoff to Vecchiarelli, dives forward here on third down. He's going to be very close to that marker.
Vecchiarelli close to a first down. On the stop, Zach.
We're directly over the 50, and it looks like it's going to be just shy based on the spot they gave.
Official timeout for a measurement.
So they'll come out and measure with the chains. Well, you almost feel, even if it was fourth down, this would be at least another play. They would end up going for it on fourth down, more likely than not. And he'll make it by a couple of inches.
First down, Bulldogs.
So the Bulldogs sitting in Tiger territory at their 49-yard line, near hash marks. Vecchiarelli 8 for 95 back in that first half. So has now eclipsed the 100-yard plateau again. Another quick little play forward and got tripped up along the way.
Vecchiarelli diving forward.
And Rumson-Fair Haven, 11 consecutive playoff game victories. That stems back for the last few years. They won their first sectional championship in 2010. 13-7 against Matawan. That was in Group 2. Then they also won in Group 2 in 13 and 14 and 2015. That was in this group. As O'Connor spins off a tackle after an already huge gain and will get himself down to the 20.
That's just pretty play action and then a straight old-fashioned naked bootleg The one thing you notice about Mike O'Connor, when he gets into space, he's got a long gait that chews up a lot of yards.
A 28-yard run from the QB, who will be going to Colgate. Second time they're going to be in the red zone today. Yep, they're 0 for 1. That was actually on their last possession back in that second quarter. Resulted on a turnover on downs on 4th down. Beccarelli and tries to bounce off a tackle, keeps churning those legs, and now he's free. Past the 15 and taken down at the 11.
That's what you call making chicken salad out of chicken feathers right there. Great job by Matt Beccarelli, moving his legs and not conceding that the play is done. Picking up 9 yards, moving the chains. You get a sense, here comes Rumson.
I just love that metaphor.
That's the G version.
First and 10. Excuse me, 2nd and 1, actually. Ball on the 11. Just be shy of that first down marker. And O'Connor will just keep it himself and pick up the first down. So we'll have a 1st and goal situation for the first time today for RFH.
Mike O'Connor dives right for the first down. Tripped up by Harris.
Ball will be on the 8-yard line.
1st and goal at the 8.
What's different about most of these wide receivers for such a run-heavy team? That's the one thing I was asking Coach Schulte. And I said, what about these wide receivers? Again, they don't get as many looks. Do they take a lot of pride in that? So he said, yeah, they take a lot of pride in their blocking. They take as much pride in their blocks as most guys take in their receptions.
Listen, in order to run the football the way that Rumson does, it does take a concerted effort. It's one guy moving the football, but generally 8 or 9 other guys clearing a path for that guy.
4-yard gain by Beccarelli. And just 4 yards shy of potentially tying this game up. Trailed 14-0. There's a theme we've seen today. It's unanswered points. O'Connor gets down low, hands it off to Beccarelli, jukes back towards his right, and he'll pick up just 2 yards on that carry. So we'll have a 3rd and goal from the 2. Sapini was there on the stop.
And a big stop by Gene Sapini because Beccarelli obviously has all the momentum going forward, but Gene wraps him and brings him down.
Might just be their best player for South Plainfield. 3rd and goal from the 2. Pavlik will move out to the near side. They'll flip it out to Beccarelli, pulls it in, and gets himself to the end zone. An extra point away from a tie ball game.
Good hands by Matt Beccarelli, who secures that high toss. Bobbled it for a split second. And then darts into the end zone. PAT away from tying this game up.
Chapin comes out. He's been perfect in his last couple of games. 32 of 36 on the season. Gets it off. And it's good. We're all tied up at 14 apiece. 6:45 to play here in the 3rd quarter.
59-yard drive. All of it exclusively gained on the ground. The big play. Quarterback Mike O'Connor, a 28-yard gain. Gets him down to the South Plainfield 20. And then Beccarelli basically handles the rest. Tie game.
Greg, how about that? That is Rumson-Fair Haven football to the max.
You're right.
Take up more than 5 minutes on the clock. You start back again. You got good field position from a kick return, which got you to the 41. So you did have better field position than maybe on average, but still able to run the football, ground and pound, get it done from all the guys contributing.
Yeah, you covered it. Everything. It's getting a touchdown. It's eating at some clock. It's the fact that no ball has stood on the tee the entire day here at Rutgers before kickoff, as this one blows off yet again. But yeah, from soup to nuts, you hit the nail right on the head. It's driving the football, taking advantage of a relatively short field going 59 yards, doing it while chewing up the clock, and doing it the way that you do it best, just pounding the ground.
Chapin, not the longest kick. It'll be taken back from the 19-yard line and moved ahead just to the 32. So that was Tate on the return up the middle. Again, Tate, of course, part of that unfortunate situation late in that second quarter where a punt actually went right off his leg while he was trying to run away and get out of harm's way. And from that situation even happening, it just happened to land on his right foot. But the defense still got it done. Now looking for the offense to do some work from their own 32-yard line. Smith is the man in motion. They'll hand it off up the middle, and that's not going to go anywhere. As walking right into the dog pile and the dog pound from the RFHD.
Zach Delvecchio, the ball carrier, met by number 90.
Delvecchio had himself a pretty good first half.
Number 52.
And he did have a touchdown, which made it 14-zip. So no gain on the play. It'll be second down and 10. Another I formation. Smith, the man in motion. Will go to the near side. That's what they go to. Deshaun Smith. Here he is in open space down the near sideline and past the 40. That's where he's just so dangerous. And it's kind of crazy, Greg. This is a guy who has not played football before this season. First time he ever touched the ball in any game, it was a kick return for a touchdown.
Not a bad way to start your career off. It encourages you to come back and keep playing football.
The senior moved here from Florida a year ago. Track star last year, and that's where he's getting some big scholarship looks and being recruited. But was an all-state soccer player last year, too, which is kind of funny. He said, hey, I want to play some football. I mean, all my friends are on the team, so he comes out and plays some football, and a nice season that he's had. He kicks the extra points, he kicks the field goals, the kickoff. He returns them on both sides. They'll be able to bull ahead with Delvecchio for the first down. First and 10 from their own 45-yard line. They have led the majority of this game. First time we've been tied since early on in the first. Really through the first half of that first. Deshaun Smith dances around in midfield, get himself right to the 50. So a nice 5-yard pickup from the senior.
Deshaun Smith, the end around. Sullivan, number 52, on the hit, along with Mike Murdoch, number 7.
Charlie Lovett will hustle back out on the field as Stankin will come off. Lovett again has had a carry, he's had a reception, also has a pass. He'll keep it himself. Jukes outside. It'll be a flag on the play and also taken back for a loss by Pat Russo, the senior.
Good tackle by Russo, man. Just staying disciplined, staying in his lane, not committing too soon, and then once he gets his grips on Lovett, he doesn't let it go.
These two are pretty much like thunder and lightning. Marson, guy who can toss the ball out there, about 56% completion. Lovett more of the runner of the two. Just what happened is Lovett dealt with an injury, so missed some time. Marston steps in, takes over the starting role, and now you got a two-quarterback system because they understand what it is for one another, and it's not one of those situations where it's a tough, I need to be QB1, I need to be QB1. Said those guys, that's just the thing about this team that stands out the most. That is probably the best thing about this group, that they're not maybe the biggest, strongest guys, but they play together as a team, and they are fine with having the role they have. 2nd and 18 after the holding penalty. Play action, love it. Dumps it off to Lundy. Lundy twist pass, one tackle, and then is sticked on the far side by Russo. Second time we've said his name in maybe 3 plays overall. 2 for 5 back in that first half on 3rd down conversions. Here's another one. We have 3rd down and 7. Their own 48-yard line, far seams. I formation, 2 receivers split out near side left. RFH showing blitz on the outside. They block that well. And they also take him down well as Del Vecchio had nowhere to go. This will bring out the punting unit.
Christian Lanzolato on the stop. He's another defender who's had a terrific, active postseason for RFH.
4th and 6. Again, Juan Cardona, they run up straight to the line quickly. Cardona is the punter. So you never know at what point this is actually going to be a 4th down attempt. Doesn't look like it this time. Skies a kick. Lappinghouse calls for a fair catch. And they'll touch it right at the 29.
Rumson will take over following the punt
Did that, I was actually Trevor Caruso.
at the 29-yard line.
Last drive, 59 yards, turned into a TD. By Vecchiarelli, 2 yards out. They'll start 1st and 10 from the own 29. Here's O'Connor. Gets the block, eludes a tackle. Comes outside the numbers and will be taken down just past the 35.
That's a good job by South Plainfield right there, stringing out that run, persistently tracking down O'Connor, and limiting the damage.
Dylan Harris, the inside linebacker, is being tended to on the near sideline by the training staff from the Bulldogs, and now his own training staff will hustle over. Harris, again, has battled an injury pretty much all season. Different points, he's been dealing with a high ankle sprain. And as we brought up before to you guys, that he was still the team leader in tackles. Just shows you what he really means to this team. 86 overall on the year. He's their guy. That would be a big loss. But they do know how to play without him. They've done it this season. And it'll just be stretched out on the near sideline. So 14-14 is the score. 2:01 to play here in the 3rd quarter of the Central Group 3 Championship game. Our 4th one and final one today here at Rutgers. Piscataway won theirs. Sayreville after that. And most recently, a very big win from Allentown.
The upset is complete at Rowan, our number 3 team in the Tri-State. Unbeaten Toms River North, unbeaten no more. Bows to Millville, 20-16. Thunderbolts strike, end the season and end the bid of Toms River North to repeat as South Jersey Group 5 champion. The old saying is any given Sunday, well, any given Saturday today.
O'Connor on the carry with second down. He'll get close to the marker.
O'Connor on the keeper.
Mike O'Connor,
Niemeyer on the stop, number 50.
Coach Schulte telling me this week, he's really grown a lot, able to read these Ds.
Moving the chains.
Now starting to make just good decisions with it. I mean, it's a guy who plays a couple of different sports. He's also a basketball player. He'll play football in college. But just his growth and development, when you win championship seasons and you're the starting QB for championship years, just an extra games and more exposure to understand where guys are. Shotgun formation, 3 receivers on the far side for this 1st and 10. O'Connor goes right up the seams this time and will pick up 5 yards on the carry.
Makes good reads on the option, knows when to plant it in the belly of Vecchiarelli, knows when to pull and take off on his own. A lot of the stuff he does, he initiates right off the bat, like on that play like that where it's no secret he's taking off with that ball. He's not even selling anything. But to me, what's always stood out about Mike is just how much ground he covers with those long strides. He's a big, tall kid, and he just devours yards when he gets space.
His numbers have dropped down in terms of passing this season. Last year, 674 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4 INTs. The completion percentage also down big as well, around 66% last year, a little lower this time. Vecchiarelli is off to the races from his own 44-yard line, 56 yards, straight to the house, and the lead for the first time in this game for RFH.
Matt Vecchiarelli shows you right there that he has some deceptive acceleration because 2 defenders are sandwiching him as he gets into space, and all of a sudden, he creates a little distance on those 2 guys. And if you notice, twice during that run, he looked like he momentarily stumbled and lost his footing, but nonetheless still couldn't be caught. What a huge postseason by Matt Vecchiarelli.
His 3rd rushing TD today. And the extra point gets blocked. On that outside edge, it was Rayon Cohen who was coming off quickly. So we'll see if that extra point plays a factor going forward. But either way, 20 unanswered points by Rumson-Fair Haven have given them a 20-14 lead. So they've scored on their last 2 drives. They scored on 2 of their last 3 drives. And the last 2 coming off the rushing TDs from Matt Vecchiarelli, a guy who has now over 200 carries on the season and well over 1,200 yards on the year as well. An 80-yard touchdown run, that put them on the scoreboard today. The 2-yard TD, and then most recently the 56-yarder. You could just feel the life on the near side where the Rumson-Fair Haven faithful stand in their jackets, getting a little colder as this night has started to get colder as time has gone on. Smith back from the 10. And a good job covering him as only get himself to the 28. Well, check that, actually, it was Gene Sapini who had the return.
Get a sense that Rumson's playing with a little more physicality in the second half on defense, hitting people, seeing if they're going to, I guess, maybe test the will of South Plainfield a little bit, see if they're in this thing for the long haul, which I definitely think the Tigers are. I think they've proven that already.
It actually was Deshaun Smith on that return. Just listening to outside voices too much. Marston pump fakes. And taken down. Chase Frang, 8th sack of the season.
Chase doing exactly that. Look at the pursuit. Grabs him by the back of his shirt, yanks him down. You can run, but you can't hide from Chase Frang.
And that's going to end the 3rd quarter. 12 minutes of regulation remaining. It's Rumson-Fair Haven 20, South Plainfield 14. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be a fun finish. It's the Central Group 3 championship game only on News 12 Varsity. Welcome back to News 12 Varsity. Fresh 12 minutes on the clock. So we begin the fourth quarter. 2nd and 12, ball in the 22. For South Plainfield, wearing the black jerseys, going from left to right. They currently trail Rumson-Fair Haven by 6 after 20 unanswered points. Del Vecchio will run right up the gut and get himself to the 27. So it'll be a third down upcoming. And again, this is an offense still that is coming off the last series they had. Get nothing out of it. They really haven't been able to get anything out of it since that last touchdown, which came all the way back early in the second quarter.
Yeah, I think that we had mentioned earlier in the game that RFH is known for making adjustments. You know, Del Vecchio nicked them quite a bit in the first half.
3rd and 7, gets past one with Sullivan, but not the second.
That's one Michael Ruane, following up the initial hit, I believe, by Chase Frang.
Second sack of this drive alone. What a stand by the defense for RFH. So a 3 and out and another punt. Minus that kneel to end the half. They punted on their last 3 drives. Cardona, and it's not a good one. They'll go out of bounds. An excellent field position upcoming for the Bulldogs.
Let me give credit where credit's due. It was Henry Sullivan that applied that initial pressure that led to the Ruane hit and sack. And now a short field for Rumson. Can it manifest into more points for the Bulldogs?
First time that Rumson-Fair Haven will start a drive in South Plainfield territory. A team that has really become a championship program and taken a lot of people to get to this point. A lot of backing from their community as well, and you can see it in the support today here at High Point Solutions Stadium. Beccarelli moves out to the right and will be tackled right at the line of scrimmage. But it was pretty much the same exact thing at Somerville. Defense started to get better over time in that semifinal game, and 21 unanswered points. Here, it's 20 unanswered points. Now the lead and the ball here in the fourth.
I don't think it's a coincidence. You know, it's a recurring trend because that's what they are. They're a second-half team. You got teams like Wall Township who have been like that all year. They just make adjustments, and they rise to the occasion. It gets to the point, Dan, where you start to wonder, do they feel comfortable in that deficit? Is that what settles them in? Do they need to be put in a hole to get them to do whatever it takes to get it done? I don't know. It sounds crazy to even suggest that. But when it happens so often, because you'll talk to these kids like, you know, if we have to do anything, we have to get off to a quicker start. But you don't. But you still find ways to win.
3rd down and 8 from the 35. They'll throw this time. Here's Trevor Caruso.
O'Connor complete to Caruso. Trevor Caruso, number 13.
Going to be short by a yard probably, right? Looks like about a yard short.
Looks like it. 4th down and 1. Caruso is also the backup QB, but has some receptions this season, 10 for 206 and 2 touchdowns, entering into tonight's contest, the final game of 2016.
That play right there shows you what Mike O'Connor can do on the run, how mobile he is, and then Caruso catches a bullet too.
Here's a 4th down. They try and push forward. Ball pops loose. They pick it up and run it ahead.
Colin Pavlik, right guy in the right spot, picking that one up, because I'm going to tell you right now, Mike O'Connor got popped at the line of scrimmage.
Ball came loose. First down, Bulldog.
Pavlik jumps on the ball, and the pigskin still belongs to the Bulldogs. 4 minutes off the clock here in the 4th quarter. Here comes a run from Vecchiarelli. Gets past one tackle, across the 15, and down at the 10.
A little hop, a little skip, and a little jump, a little bounce in the step. That's what Matt does. Oh, and by the way, he just picks up a dozen yards too and gets him a 1st and goal at the 10.
Only the 2nd time they've been down this deep today, believe it or not. In the red zone, 1 for 2, because they broke off some big runs. The 56-yarder most recently from Vecchiarelli, and then that 80-yard run, which started the scoring. Pearson, the lone receiver, out on the far side, I formation. Vecchiarelli.
Good tackle.
Mike DeAngelis. We've said his name a couple of times thus far.
Absolutely have, you're right. Making big plays.
Now, how about this defense overall for South Plainfield? Right now, they're in territory they haven't been. In no win this season have they allowed more than 2 touchdowns. Right now, they've allowed 3.
With no disrespect to the rest of that schedule, this one is against the defending champs, you know. There's a reason why Rumson gets back here year after year, and I think that South Plainfield has showed very well in this game so far today. O'Connor
with pressure coming, wide open in the end zone is Pearson, but they're going to say it hit the ground.
Tyler Pearson broke wide open on that little skinny post route. It's a good call. Good call. Not even close, actually. The ball bounced a good 2 yards in front of Pearson.
How about that, Greg? Charlie Lovett coming right after him with the pressure. Nobody was near Pearson within 10 yards. 3rd and 13. Moving out the line. Looks like it'll be a false start.
So now our fate's looking at 3rd and goal from the 17. What do you expect? Rolling out O'Connor here on a little waggle, looking for his favorite target. Vecchiarelli on a draw. What do you think?
Pavlik was the guy who just had the false start. Wouldn't be surprised if he becomes the man. They've done it a couple of times. Instead, O'Connor will just keep it himself and look straight to the end zone. We're both wrong.
I forgot that as an option. Sorry. The keeper by O'Connor with 6:41 to go makes it a 12-point game. Rumson getting a sense that it's that time of year again. great run by Mike O'Connor. Seeing it, reading it, clears the initial line of scrimmage, and then gets a sense if he can take an angle to that outside pylon, he can beat a defender to it. He does.
Chapin for the extra point. And they jumped early on the South Plainfield side, so we'll do this again. Mike O'Connor, 11th rushing touchdown of the season. For the first time today on that scoring drive, there's a scoring play next to the RFH name that is not Matt Vecchiarelli. It's the other senior with his 11th rushing TD of the season. Still time left, even if they do hit this extra point, of course. It'd be a 13-point game. Ball's down, laces to the front, and right between the uprights. So it is a 13-point game. 27-14, but 27 unanswered points by Rumson. And now South Plainfield, which their offense has been a little quiet, especially since that first quarter and early on into the second. They need to do some damage here, answer back with a quick one. Game is far from out of reach, so we'll have 3 timeouts and just about a little more than half a quarter remaining. And they went 3 and out on their last couple of drives. O'Connor, that was his 30th career rushing touchdown. And a spectacular career that already owns 2 championships and looking for 3 before he heads to Colgate. Chapin squibs it right up the middle. And picking up a slow grounder will be South Plainfield right at the 32-yard line. So, what needs to change for South Plainfield? Because things were working before with Del Vecchio, not as much in the recent.
It's kind of one of those instances where you think to yourself, well, welcome to the world of what it's like to play Rumson. You know, it's not a coincidence that this keeps happening, that their defense makes adjustments and shuts things down, denies you strengths that you might have had early, doesn't allow you to maintain them for 4 quarters, and as you're going to see right here, this is kind of what they have to do. They have to go to the air.
Marston nearly intercepted by Pat Russo on the near side. It came out of his hands as soon as his body hit the ground.
So I think Ryan Marston answers the question for you, what they have to do. They have to go to the air at some point. Here you're down 13 points. There's 6.5 minutes left to go in the game. Rumson is tough to move the ball on via the ground. You might need some balance here. But I'm going to say, by the same time, you don't have to go for the whole ball of yarn on any particular play. You can nick them here and there and move the ball downfield. But the one thing that's been proven in the postseason with Rumson is that on plays like that, quite often they've been making interceptions. You had Ryan Totoro against Cranford, who comes into the game with no interceptions. He has 3. And then in the Somerville game, you get James Malee with 2 interceptions. I think they have 6 or 7 INTs in the postseason alone. So these defensive backs, it's a pretty strong secondary. Mike Murdoch, James Malia, Ryan Totoro. You've got guys that like to hit. They like to cover. They take a lot of pride in what they do back there. Pat Russo. It's a pretty solid unit. And guys like Murdoch, I mean, he's been around forever inside the Rumson secondary. Staple. He and Ruane, Liam Adams, these guys are fixtures for 4 years. Getting their feet wet as youngsters and just learning on the growth trail to where they're at right now.
South Plainfield looking to do something only one other team has done, score more than 14 points on this defense. Incomplete as he was looking for Mike DeAngelis. That's still, I think, just the craziest part. Even the losses. Middletown South, it was a 14-13 loss. Shore, 14-7. The most they've allowed was St. John Vianney, 28, in a game that really I think they, of course, want to forget about. It was a 28-3 defeat. Other than that, 14 points or less, 10 of their 11 opponents have been held under.
That speaks volumes of in regards to what Rumson is defensively. They're stingy, they're stubborn, they're physical, they're well-schooled, they're disciplined.
Pressure coming. Marson nowhere near his target. 4th down.
And there's Liam Adams, disengaging from the block, getting into the pocket, forcing the throw maybe Marson would like to have made without that type of big number 90 pressure in your face.
Cardona to punt. Just under 6.5 minutes to play in this contest. And trailing by 13. Making the smart move. This is a good punt. It's going to keep spinning up ahead. Had that side spin. And they'll let it just keep rolling and keep rolling. And eventually picked up right at the 23. Both teams only have one similar opponent, Carteret. And that was considered one of the bigger wins this season for South Plainfield. Neither team allowed them an offensive touchdown, a group that really puts up Carteret about 400 yards plus from scrimmage. Both teams have also held their opponent to 2 or fewer scores in each of the last 6 games. So there are some similarities between them. You mentioned before what Cassio was saying, again, they're just bigger, stronger than us, and more experienced. And a good defensive stop on that far side as Stankin was all over. Veccarelli on the carry. South Plainfield, again, they know they're still here to play. There's still time left. They just need some stops. Their mood this week, I mean, they, of course, are so excited. It was a Tuesday, and it was pouring out the entire day, and they kept calling Coach Cassio saying, Coach, can we go out and practice? We want to practice outside. They wanted to get ready.
You don't want to see the season end when you get to this point.
Moving those legs. It was the fullback, Alex Maljian. He had 6 carries for 24 yards and a TD in their loss last Wednesday. Guy also with a good future ahead. We'll probably get some touches as the time continues. Him and Peter Lucas.
Absolutely. Rumson is not hurting in the backfield department moving into next year. They're going to say goodbye to Matt Veccarelli and Mike O'Connor, 2 guys that are going to be tough to replace. But they've got pieces in place.
That's
make that transition a little easier.
Yeah, that's what makes a program.
Absolutely right.
Shotgun. O'Connor goes right off his body. South Plainfield thinks they have it. It's going to stay Rumson way. But it will bring a 4th and long here, so bring out the punting unit. And with 4 minutes and 14 seconds on the clock, the timeout's going to be called by South Plainfield. They'll burn their first timeout here in half number 2. Well, you just need one. That's all it is. You just need one, then maybe a stop. You'll still have about 2 minutes. If you're down by, let's say, 6 or 7 at that point, give or take, there will be time on the clock. But you need to score in this drive. That's a must.
That's the catch. You need one, and South Plainfield hasn't been able to get that one since they were up, in this game 14-0, because Rumson just shut the door. So you're right. There's no time to waste when they get the ball back. If they get the ball back here, South Plainfield has to cash in, and they have to cash in fast because they don't need one, they need 2 scores. And while we got this quick stoppage, I got to say this real fast, Dan. It's the last day of football for the Shore Conference today. Those games at MetLife tomorrow, North Jersey teams. And on behalf of the News 12 family, I just want to thank the followers in the Shore Conference who are enthusiastic. I love interacting with them. I love providing coverage for the Shore Conference. It's a great conference for football. It's a great family, all right? It's competitive. There's some serious rivalries within the league, but it's a family that on days like today they rally around for each other. So I just want to thank the members of the Shore Conference for checking out the material at News 12 Varsity and supporting what we do. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to all the guys that are part of our family at News 12 Varsity.
Because we do this for the kids, we do this for the fans. That's what it's all about. Timeout's going to be called. This time by Rumson-Fair Haven. After they didn't get everyone on that whole personnel out for the punt unit. So both teams down to 2 timeouts, 4:14 to play in a 27-14 contest. 27 unanswered from Rumson, which all started back in that second quarter. And the 80-yard run from Vecchiarelli after Del Vecchio's 7-yard touchdown run made it 14-zip, and then boom, that first play. They're on the scoreboard, and from then, they've kind of been rolling. It's exactly what they needed and exactly what they got. Only 2 other Shore Conference teams have won 4 titles in 4 years, and some in different conferences. Manasquan is 1. Middletown South is the other.
And it looks like Manasquan is on the verge of getting another one. That's one of the games that we're broadcasting currently on News12RC.com from Kane. Manasquan leading Bernards in the Central Jersey Group 2 final.
Low snap. He gets blocked. So good field position after that block.
Second block punt by the Tigers.
Well, they turned the last one into points. And now they need to do the same, and that really helps them because it really saves them about 20, 30 yards, give or take.
You drilled it. That's exactly right. They got 4 minutes and 6 seconds. They got an incredibly short field. They're at the 24-yard line. If they can strike within these next 2 plays, who's to say they don't even need to do an onside kick? They got timeouts left. They got 2 timeouts left. But they got to score first.
Looks left, throws left, hook and ladder. Smith gets himself down to the 1-yard line.
Stealing a play from Mater Dei that won the non-public Group 2 championship today on a hook and ladder with 3 seconds left to go. South Plainfield goes to it, picks up 22 yards. First and goal.
Check out that play after this game. That was a spectacular one. Right up the middle.
No signal. Saying second down.
Marston on the keeper. They'll hurry up here. Second and goal. Marston again. Waiting for the signal. He crossed the plane. Touchdown.
Well, what do we say? Do it within the first 2 plays. They do it in 3 plays with 3:23 to go. So they get that touchdown in less than a minute. And it now becomes a 1-possession game. South Plainfield right back in it.
Big spot for the extra point. Of course, if they hit it, then they would need just 6 to tie, and the extra point would and could result in the go-ahead point. Deshaun Smith out to boot. 19 of 27 this year on PATs. False start's going to be against South Plainfield, so it will back him up a little.
Not the PAT that you want to suffer penalties on,
We know Smith has a very good leg. High snap, it's a fake to Smith, looking for the two-point conversion, and it's successful.
Gotta love it.
The high snap might have been done on purpose. Stankin just finding Smith, and nobody was near the playmaker. And with that kind of speed, nearly walking his way into the end zone for the two-point conversion. So now, a touchdown takes the lead. You don't have to worry about the extra point anymore. Still 3:23 to go, 2 timeouts remaining against a very good run squad. I don't think you need to go for the onside kick at this point.
Got 2 timeouts, 3:23 left to go. If anything, try and get off a deep kick. Don't give them great field position, and then go to work on defense. Stuff the run. I don't know if Rumson will be willing to pass in this spot.
Kicks have not been too deep today.
But it's amazing because it just seemed like the game was practically on the verge of being sealed up by Rumson, and it takes a block punt, and the next thing you know, momentum is swiftly with South Plainfield.
Caruso gobbles it up on the near sideline. So they'll have it at the 34.
Now, Rumson's going to need first downs here. They're going to need more than one.
Prior to that block punt, they scored on their previous 3 drives. First and 10 from the 34-yard line. O'Connor! Past the 40, the 35, and taken down at the 31.
Mike O'Connor during the season was hurt for a few weeks, and they had a replacement in, but it's hard to replace this. This is what a senior quarterback does when the moment demands it. He makes a big play, not a big play, a huge play, a timely play, and one of those plays that says to the rest of the team, like, you know what, we're good. We're okay.
South Plainfield will use their second timeout.
So like we said, it's a 35-yard gain. You pick up the first down. You make them use a timeout. 3 minutes to go. They've got 1 timeout left, South Plainfield. It's going to be run. It's going to be run. I would be shocked if Rumson puts the ball in the air. If not for any other reason, that maybe on a third down and short, they want to run a play-action waggle or something to that effect. But I wouldn't anticipate the ball coming off the turf as long as Rumson has possession of it to try and steal this one. Let me tell you something. Give credit to South Plainfield. I don't know if many people gave them a shot in this game, and they have totally won over the respect, I think, of everybody that's in this building tonight with what they've accomplished, how they've played, resilient. Love it. Love it.
Gary Cassio, who actually is a sergeant over at South Plainfield Police, has been in law enforcement most of his life. He has said over and over again, it's for the kids. It would mean so much for the kids. Doesn't want to take any credit. Beccarelli gets tripped up. And a good thing, too, because he was off for the races into the secondary. Final timeout being used by the Tigers. So with 2:55 to go, it'll be a second down.
Their final timeout.
And 7. The ball on the 28. Again, Rumson has been stopped here before. It's not completely out of the question. The long this year, if they decided to try and elect to make it an 8-point game. Chapin, the senior, 5 for 6, but his long is just 32. So you need to get, of course, down right around to the 15, give or take. If you want to maybe try and test their luck a little bit, but the wind is blowing from left to right. So maybe move that up a couple of more yards. Still, they're able to stop, and we have seen them be able to stop this running attack from the Bulldogs. And that first play by O'Connor was just huge.
Big.
Pearson, the man in motion to the far side. Beccarelli bounces right off one of his tackles, and he'll pick up another few yards in the process for.
When they're at this point of the field, I'm definitely thinking it's 4-down territory because there's no use in punting. Although, if they want to try a field goal, it's just that the wind is blowing straight in the kicker's face in that spot, so.
Yeah, I think you need to at least get him up to the 10, especially for a guy whose long is only a 32. Not inside the 10.
Yeah, O'Connor waiting to see the back judge count.
Beccarelli. DeAngelis couldn't get the first stop, but that spin move, he'll end up being stopped by Tate. Just got right past DeAngelis, who was such a good tackler, too. So the sophomore, Dondre Tate.
Looking at about 4th and 2 right now. Ball at the 23. I'll be curious to see if O'Connor gives this ball to anybody besides Mike O'Connor right here in this spot.
Beccarelli comes off. 3 receivers out on the far side. Malijan, the fullback, at the right hip. He does keep it himself. Dives forward. It depends on the spot.
The tackle by Austin Fritz, number 73.
Whether he got it or not, there's a great tackle by Austin Fritz, who, as O'Connor is just about to turn the corner on him, he gets him by the ankles and makes sure that, if nothing else, he's going to have to earn this first down.
The senior Austin Fritz may have saved the season, depending on where this ball is. They'll bring out the chains. Everybody holding their breath here at High Point Solutions Stadium. It's short. Turnover on down. South Plainfield has 1:15 and a chance to win.
No timeouts, so if they're going to work the middle of the field on this drive, they got to work it with the idea that they're passing the ball at least 10 yards downfield so the chains have to move.
From their own 21. Marston, here comes the pressure, throws, gets it off, an incomplete pass, looking for Del Vecchio, and what pressure from that outside.
Chase Frang doing his thing.
He has been all over the place today and getting to the face of Ryan Marston.
And it's a good thing he did, because South Plainfield had that screen set up for Del Vecchio, but it's because Chase Frank gets in Ryan Marston's grill that he has to hurry that throw. Probably wants to make a little bit better throw on that, but it's no fault of his. It's Chase Frank that causes that.
2 receivers on the far side, 1 on the near. They send 4. They're able to get the pass off. It's completed, but not very far, and staying in bounds. That's big.
Keegan Woods on the tackle.
Zappini, the leading receiver, was the one to make the catch. 3rd down and 9. 50 seconds to play now. Marston, time to throw. A bullet across the middle. deflects off the body, and it's intercepted.
By guess who? Mike O'Connor. What is he doing in the secondary? You're putting one of your best players in that spot to make a play. When Mike was younger, he was a safety, and in this spot, it's all hands on deck, and it's his two that may have just secured another sectional title for RFH.
A hard throw across the middle looking for Lovett, and it just deflects right into the body of number 15. And pending the kneel down here, and everything goes according to plan, Rumson-Fair Haven are going to be crowned back-to-back champions in Central Group 3 and win their 4th consecutive sectional championship. What a game this was. South Plainfield showing everybody we're here now. This is a program that wants to be here every year, competing for themselves a chance to bring home a sectional championship. Still looking for that first. But they made big strides this season. O'Connor takes a knee. And they'll wait for the clock to strike 0.
4 straight for RFH. And let me tell you something, a tip of the cap to South Plainfield. Tigers got nothing to be ashamed of. They played their hearts out today. They'll go back to South Plainfield with a lot of pride for the work they put in today.
Defensive efforts are what stood out the most. Rumson-Fair Haven, champions in Group 2, back in 2010, 2013, 2014, Group 3, 2015, and now 2016. Rumson-Fair Haven, 4 straight. We'll be back with more on News 12 Varsity.